This chapter is one of the easiest chapters you will see. So it's a pure technique here. So we will learn a technique to determine dimensionless group, okay? And we will learn in another part how to do experiments in a way to generalize results. So we have these two major ideas in this chapter. To start with, we will start by looking at how we form non-dimensional groups. Okay, so the whole idea is that when you do experiments, you want to know which, if you want, instead of varying all variables, what you can do, if you come up with dimensionless group, you will say, I will just vary the groups and come up with results that can be generalized to any case. Okay, so in problem 1, for example, a force F on a particular body immersed in a stream of fluid depends on the body length L, the stream velocity V, the fluid density ρ, and the fluid viscosity mu. So here they gave us, if you want, the main parameter on which depends the force F. Okay? And we want to perform experiments. To know what we should vary in the experiment, we can do a dimensionless analysis for dimensional analysis to determine what are the groups to work on. Okay, so the whole idea now is to do this work in steps. The first step will be to determine the number of variables we have. So here, how many variables we have involved in this case? We have the
Four.
force, the length. You have 4, but you should count also F. Okay, so in total you have 5 variables. You have 5 variables in your problem. So you don't only count L0, you also count F with them. Okay, so we have 5 variables here. Okay, so this is the first step to do. The second step is to determine the dimension of each of our variables. Okay, so to start with, I should find the dimension of each variable and I can put them in a table. Okay, so list your variables and put them in a table. We will see why we do this. So first, to start with the force, we know that the force unit, you can work in MLT or in FLT. So if you remember in the first chapters, we introduced the idea of dimensions. Okay, and we said that we can work in FLT system or MLT system. So it's up to you. You can choose what you want. So here, for example, if we choose to work in MLT, you know that the force, if you forgot the dimension, just you go back to the relation. Force is equal to mass times acceleration. So the unit for force will be m times LT minus 2, because the acceleration is in meter per second square. Okay, now the second variable we have is L. The dimension is L, of course. For U velocity, it's meter per second, so it's LT minus 1. Now for rho, the density is in kilogram per meter cube, so it's ml minus 3. And for mu, if you forgot what is the unit for mu, you can simply go back to the relation which will give you mu, which is that the shear stress tau.
Pascal.second.
Yes, is mu.
بتطلع آخر شيء M L minus 1 T minus 1, I guess.
Exactly, because it's mu times del u by del y. Okay, so if you want to derive the unit of mu, all you have to do, del u over del y, the unit is 1 over a second. Okay, because you have already u is meter per second and y is meter. So this term here has as unit 1 over t. So this one, del u over del y, has as a unit 1 over t. Okay, so if I take it to the other side, it becomes t. And what is the unit of tau? Tau is a shear stress, so it's force per unit area. And we know that the force is ml t minus 2. So tau will be l minus 1 times t minus 2. Okay, and if you multiply this term by t, then you get m L minus 1. So here minus 1 and here T minus 2. Okay, this is for tau. If you multiply the unit of tau by T, you get M L minus 1 T minus 1, which is the unit of mu. Okay, so now we determine the dimension of all our variables. The second step is to determine the number of independent dimensions. Okay, so here you have in this problem, you have M, you have the dimension M, you have the dimension L, and you have the dimension T. So you have 3 dimensions involved, M, L, and T. This is why we say that J is equal to 3. So J always represent, if you want, J corresponds to the number of independent variables that we can have. Okay. Now, to understand, if you want, what is this? Why we use J? We will see together why we use J. Okay, because we want to determine the number of independent groups that we can form. The number of groups. Okay. So to determine the number of groups, the number of groups is given by n minus j, where j represents the number of independent variables in my problem. So here we always say that j can be smaller or equal to 3. So here the number of independent variable MLT is 3. So we say that j is smaller or equal to 3. Why we say smaller or equal, you will understand this in the next problem. So how to make sure if it's equal to 3 or less than 3? Okay. To know this, you should try to choose 3 variables that cannot form a group. What do I mean by they cannot form a group? So if you combine them in any way, you cannot get a dimensionless group. Why? For example, let us look at our variables. If I look at my variables, for example, if I choose these 3, rho, u, l, who can tell me why it's impossible for them to form one group? Because the condition of a group, okay, is that when you combine them with a certain, let's say, exponent for L, U, and rho, you can have a dimension in total, a dimension of 1. Why it's not possible here? Because look, the variable M is only present in rho. So you cannot cancel it with any, if you do any combination with U and L, you cannot cancel M, because M is only present with rho and is not in U and is not in L. Now, for the variable t is only present in u. So I cannot, if I do anything, if I do any combination with L and rho, I cannot cancel t. Okay? And finally, if I take here, so if I take L with u and rho, I cannot form any group. Okay? And you can make sure of this. How you can make sure of this? You can try. How to try if they form a group or not? You should put like this. You should put L to the power A times U to the power B times rho to the power C. I want to try if it can give me.
دكتور بس هيدا هلا شو يعني لنشوف اذا في dimensionless group ولا شو؟
يعني انت when you want to do groups you should choose independent variables. يعني you choose the variables that are independent and then the group you have. يعني F will form a group with LU and rho and the mu will form a group with LU and rho. So you should first choose 3 independent variables.
بس ليش LU and rho؟
فيك تستعمل اللي بدك اياه، مش ضروري بس LU and rho. But why I choose LU and rho؟ لأنه أنا أكيد إنه they cannot form a group. Why? Because you have that M is only present in rho and T is only present in U. Okay? So in this way, by choosing these 3, I am sure that they cannot form a group. فيك تنقي حيلا 3 كمان بتزبط. Okay? So, but you should make sure that they cannot form a group together. And for example, you can,
Doctor,
yes,
بس شو قصدك form a group together؟
اوكي. جربتوا شوي تقروا سلايدز او سمعتوا سلايدز
يس دكتور
حضرنا
يس
السلايد.
دكتور
اوكي.
بس انه هون مثلا اذا زايدين اتش انه ال وال مثلا ما فيكم
What
تاخذوهم
is
مع
a
بعض.
group? What is a group? A group is a combination of variables which has no dimension. This is the definition of a group. Okay? يعني هعطيكم simple example. Let's say you have, for example, velocity. The unit for velocity is L over T. Okay? And you have a distance. If your variable are V, and the diameter, for example, in a certain problem, or distance D has unit L, okay? And you can have as variable time T, okay? What is the group I can form between these three, V, D, and T? They can form a group. Why? Because you know that V, by definition, velocity, is equal to distance over time. So if I take the group V times T over D, this will be a group. Why it's a group? Because the dimension of this group is, it doesn't have a dimension. So the idea of a dimensionless group, that if I group certain variables together, they will not have a dimension. So here, try it here. If you do Vt over D, what is the unit for V? It's meter per second. So L over T. Okay? And if I multiply by time, so times T, and if I divide by D, it's over L. So what is the dimension? 1. This means what? This means that the combination of these variables together will give me a group. Vt over D, I can consider it as a dimensionless group. Okay, this is the group. So the group, a dimensionless group, is combination of variable without unit. Now, if I have any problem and they give me variables, I want to try to find how many groups I can form with these variables. This is the purpose. Okay, so here I have 5 variables and I want to form a certain number of groups. I have a technique. This technique, which we are following together, will allow me to determine how much groups I can form. Okay, what is this technique? This technique consists on, first, it's called Buckingham theorem. So if you have watched the video, it's the Buckingham theorem method. Okay, it consists first on listing the variables and finding their numbers. So here first we started by counting the variables. We have in total 5 variables. Now the next step is to determine how many groups I can form. From the theorem say the number of groups I can form is equal to, so K represents the number of groups I can form between the variable. Okay, it's equal to the number of variable n. So this is n represents the number of variables minus j. What represents j? J represents minus j is the maximum number of independent variables. What I mean by independent, okay, independent variables, yani they cannot form a group. So they cannot form a group together. They cannot form a group when combined together. When combined.
يعني when they're combined, they're not dimensionless.
Yes, exactly. Okay. So how can I choose this number? First, to have an idea about this number, first I look how many dimensions are involved in my variable. So I have 3 dimensions involved: L, T, and M. So at least I can say that J can be maximum equal to 3. So first, to take an approximation about J, I count the number of independent dimensions. So here, what are the 3 dimensions I have? M, L, and T. So I have 3 dimensions involved in this problem. So I can say that J is smaller or equal to 3, okay, which is the number of dimensions involved. Here we have 3 dimensions involved, which are M, L, and T. Okay? So now, the next step, I should verify if J can be 3 or not. To have J equal to 3, I should be able to find between my variables 3 that cannot form a group. Okay? Now, how can I verify, what is the technique in general to know if they form a group or not? Try, if possible, try to find 3 variables in a way that one contain only one variable that is not present in the others. And for example, row, if I take LU row, if I try LU row to see if they form a group or not, I can say first that M is only present in row. انتوا يطلع لكم group that is without dimension مفروض الام تكون موجودة in another place, so that if I multiply by a certain, if I do to the power of a certain coefficient, the m will cancel out. But here m is not present ولا in L ولا in U, so impossible to cancel m. Okay, and also t is only present in U, so if I combine it with L and rho, I cannot cancel t the time t, so it's impossible. So you can directly say here, without any further calculation, you can directly say, of course, L, U, and rho cannot form a group. If it's not very clear in the, if you want, if it's not very clear in each variable include a certain dimension that is not present in other, how you can make sure? For example, you can say, if I take, let's say, if I take U, another possibility, I can take U, rho, and mu together, for example. Okay? Here, it's not, if you want, very clear if they can form a group or not, because, for example, M, I have M in 2 places. I have M in rho and M in mu, and I have T in U and I have T in mu. So maybe they can form a group, maybe not. How to make sure? To make sure, I do a test. But here, because I should do a test to make sure, and it will take more time. So always I try to find them in a quick way. If I was not able to find in a quick way, I can test if they form a group or not. How to do the test? Look, to do the test, you say, I should try to find a combination. So U, let's say, to the power A times rho to the power B times mu to the power C. If I can find A, B, C in a way that I form a group. To form a group, what should be the result? I should obtain, as a result, a dimension m to the power 0, L to the power 0, and T to the power 0. Because to have a group, the dimension should be 1. Okay? So T to the power 0. So let us see if I can find coefficients A, B, and C in a way to have a dimensionless result. Okay? So how to do the test? I replace U, the dimension of U, by LT minus 1. So I get L to the power A times T to the power minus A. Okay? Now, for rho, what is the dimension of rho? M, L minus 3. So M to the power B and L to the power minus 3B. Okay? And now, finally, for mu, the unit of mu is M, L minus 1, T minus 1. If I do it to the power C, I get M to the power C times L to the power minus C. And finally, I have T to the power minus C. Okay, this should be equal to, in dimension, it should be equal to m to the power 0 times, let me expand it a little bit. Okay. M to the power 0, L to the power 0, and T to the power 0. Okay? Now, how to find if I can have A, B, C in that way? Now, I determined the coefficient of L, M, and T. So let us start by M. What is the coefficient of M? I have here M to the power B, and I have here M to the power C. So in total, M is to the power B plus C. Okay? Now, for L, what do I have? I have A here, and I have -3 and -C. So I have A minus 3B and -C. Okay? This is the coefficient of L. And finally, for T, I have to the power. For T, I have -A and -C. So -A minus C. Okay? Equals to, from the other side, to have a dimensionless group, it should be 0 and L 0 and T 0. Okay, so now next step, I want to try to find A, B, C. So this equation will give me 3 equations, because to have it possible, I should have first, the first equation is B plus C, which is the coefficient of M, should be equal to 0. Second equation, A minus 3B minus C equals to 0. And the third relation is that -A minus C is equal to 0. So this is my system, okay? I want to make sure if I can find A, B, C satisfying this system. So from the first equation, I can get that B is equal to minus C. And from the last equation, I can get that A is equal also to minus C. Okay, so if I replace here, I get that minus C and plus 3C, okay, minus C equals to 0. So this will give me that the value of C is, so C equal to 0. And therefore B is equal to 0 and A is equal to 0. What does this mean? This means that I cannot find coefficients A, B, C in a way to form a group. Okay? So U, rho, and mu cannot form a group. But as you can see here, I needed to do a calculation to verify this. So sometimes just from looking at our variables, we can determine the easiest 3 variables that cannot form a group. So this is why
بس لأنه طلعوا زيرو.
نعم.
بس لأنه طلعوا زيرو.
إيه طلعوا زيرو، يعني إذا بتحط u to the power 0 يعني 1 صح؟ يعني you cannot find coefficients، يعني you cannot find any combination of u, rho, mu that will give you a group, a dimensionless group.
ما فينا نعمل مع F؟
فينا نعمل مع F، فينا
دكتور
ننقي
سؤال.
حيالله 3 variables، بس بدنا نتأكد إنه ما بيعملوا جروب مع بعض. أوكي؟ فأنا in general أسرع طريقة تلاقي جروب من دون ما أضطر أعمل هيدي الكالكوليشن، بجرب لاقي 3 variables تكون كل وحدة عندها dimension مش موجودة بهوليك. يعني because rho إذا باخد هول الثلاثة فيني يكون دغري أكيد بلا ما أعمل calculation إنه ما فيني لاقي جروب، لأنه M موجودة بس برو، يعني ما في شيء بيقدر يلغي الM، والتي موجودة بس بيو، يعني أكيد إذا باخد L مع U مع رو then it will work. أوكي؟
بس دكتور هنا مش مع الأف لازم يكونوا dimensionless؟
مزبوط، هن مع الأف لازم يكونوا dimensionless، بس ما أنا كيف بدي أعرف إذا بقدر، إذا عندي إذا الجروبس تبعي مثلا function of 2 variables أو 3، يعني أنت لازم تعرفي what is J. J هو النمبر اوف independent variables اللي ما بيقدروا يعملوا جروب. once حددت انه J هو 3 يعني you should choose 3 variables that cannot form a group. برجع باخد مع F، بس اخدهم مع F بيصيروا يعملوا جروب. اوكي، وبس اخدهم مع ميو بيصيروا يعملوا جروب. يعني كم عندي جروب هون؟ عندي 2 groups، one with F one with mu, and this is the result given by K. مش نحن قلنا K هو number of groups. K is equal to N minus J, and in this problem N is 5 and J is 3. 5 minus 3 equal 2, so I can form 2 groups. What are these 2 groups? One by combining LU row with F, and one by combining LU row with mu.
يعني السؤال هو انه بس بالسلايدز دكتور نديم دغري اخذ رو في ان دي بلا ما حتى نعرف ليش. قالنا انه with experience حتعرفوا انه هي
طيب خلص no problem. طب هلا نحن عم نشرحها هلا. اوكي،
نحن هلا عم نشرح ليش عم ناخذ هول ليش عم ناخذ
هلا عم
رو في
نشرح
دي.
ليش عم ناخذهم. مزبوط.
يعني هو لازم نطلع ريليشن تكون منا دايمنشنلس، لما نضربها باف تطلع دايمنشنلس. صح
100%. اوكي، لانه اذا نحن نقيناهم ديجا عاملين جروب يعني منهم independent variables، يعني already they form a group بلا حدا تاني. يعني ساعتها اذا بحط F معهم ما حقدر اعمل جروب. اوكي، يعني if already LU and rho form together a group, then I cannot combine them with any other variable. هن already are doing a group مع بعض. Okay, so first step I should choose 3 variables that cannot form a group. برجع باخدهم مع ال variables الباقيين to form groups. هلا هون
ضروري 3
نعم
ضروري كده 3 سوا، ما فينا ناخد مثلا 2.
لا ما فينا ناخد 2. بدك تاخد رو يو لحالهم قصدك
مثلا او
اذا بتاخد رو يو لحالهم بس تاخدها مع فاريبل ثالثه يمكن ما بتقدر تلاقي جروب. يعني مثل ال مثلا اذا اخذت رو يو مع بعض رجعت جربت تاخدهم مع ال ما حتلاقي جروب، واذا بتاخد رو يو مع اف كمان ما حتقدر تلاقي جروب. فتقدر تلاقي جروب بده يكون عندك already بدك تنقل number of variables that are independent. يعني هون تقدر تلاقي 3 variables that are independent, so you cannot choose 2. اوكي، لانه هلا اذا بتجرب تعمل اف بس مع يو رو ما حتزبط معك.
ما حتزبط معي انه تطلع
ما بتلاقي جروب.
صح؟
ايه ما بتلاقي جروب في بس اف يو رو، ما بتلاقي. اوكي، so what we will do now after we determined what is the number of independent variables and after we determined the number of groups, now it's time to form the groups. How we form the groups? بنقول نحن نقينا 3 variables L, U and rho. So first we will form a group between L, U and rho with F, and then we form another group between L, U, rho and mu. Okay? Now how to determine what is this group? مثل نفس التكنيك اللي عملناها هلا انا وياكم. So I should write that F to the power A times L to the power.
دكتور هلا نحن شو عم نعمل؟ نحن قلنا انه they cannot form a group. هلا شو؟
مظبوط. هلا نحن قلنا انه L, U and rho cannot form a group لحالهم، صح؟
Yes.
Okay. Now we will combine them مرة مع F مرة مع mu to have a group. يعني هلا when you add F to the variables you will be able to form a group, and when you add mu you will able to form another group. ما أصلا أنت in total your groups will be equal to 2. One by combining L, U and rho with F, and second by combining L, U and rho with mu. Okay? يعني أول group حيطلع لك when you combine F with L, U and rho. So how to combine them and try to find a group? You do F to the power A times L to the power B times U to the power C, U to the power C. هلا if you want F مش ضروري تحطوا F ما بنحط لها power، يعني no need. بدنا ناخذها 1 الباور تبع F ناخده 1. اوكي، فعندنا L to the power A و U to the power B and rho to the power C. to form a group, this should be equal to what? To m to the power 0 times l to the power 0 times t to the power 0. Okay, so this is the condition to have a group. Now, let us replace each term by its dimensions. So f, I will replace it by mlt minus 2. So mlt the power minus 2 times l to the power a times, for the velocity, it's lt minus 1. So it's l to the power b times t to the power minus b. Now times rho to the power c. Rho is ml minus 3. So it's m to the power c times l minus 3c times l to the power minus 3c equals from the other side to m0 l0 t0. m0 l0 and t to the power 0. Okay, now all you have to do is to find the coefficient of m, l, t from this side. So first for m, what is the coefficient? You have here 1 plus, you have plus c here. So anything else? No. So this is the coefficient of m. Now for l, what do we have? We have here plus 1, and here you have plus a, and you have plus b, and you have minus 3c, minus 3c. So this is the coefficient of L. And finally for t, what is the coefficient? I have from the first one, it's minus 2. Then from, I have t minus b, so minus b, and that's it. Okay, for t, I have these two only. This should be equal from the other side to m0, l0, t0. So now, all I have to do is to write my three equations. So now I can first say that the coefficient of m should be equal from the two sides. So 1 plus c should be equal to 0. This is my first equation, which will give me, so c is equal to minus 1. Then second equation is for the coefficient of L. I have 1 plus a plus b plus b minus 3c should be equal to 0. Now if you replace c from the other relation by minus 1, okay, by replacing c, what do I get? I have minus it's plus, so I get plus 3, and here I have 1, so it's equal to plus 4. So a plus b should be equal to minus 4. Okay, this is my second equation. My third equation for the coefficient of t. For the coefficient of t, I have from the first side minus 2 minus b. Minus 2 minus b should be equal to, from the other side, to 0. So I deduce that, so b is equal to minus 2. And if I replace here, by replacing b here, I get that a is minus 2. So as you can see here, I was able to find three coefficients a, b, c, such that f is forming a group with l, u, and rho. And what is this group now? I can write my group. My group is f times l to the power a, so l minus 2, l to the power minus 2, times for u, it's to the power also minus 2, so times u to the power minus 2. Okay, and finally for c, it's minus 1, so times rho to the power minus 1. Okay, so if you want, my group is f over rho times l square times u square. Okay, so this is my group. Okay, is my first group. Now, my second group, I do the same procedure, doing what now? Instead of combining with f, I combine with the remaining variable that is mu. So now so this is group 1. In general, the group is symboled by pi. So this is pi 1, group 1. Okay. Now, to find my second group, I do the same procedure. So I put, instead of f, I will put mu. Okay. And I put L to the power A, U to the power B, rho to the power C, same procedure. Just now I have to change here the dimension. Instead of F, I take the dimension of mu, which is M, L minus 1, M, L minus 1, T minus 1, L minus 1, and T to the power minus 1. And the remaining terms will remain as they
دكتور
are.
يعني هون نحن عملنا نفس الشيء صح مثل ما عملنا قبل؟
نفس الشيء، بس قبل كنا عم نتأكد انه they are independent، يعني they cannot form a group، لأنه أنا بدي أجرب لاقي 3 variables. ليش جرب لاقي 3؟ لأنه what is J؟ J is smaller or equal to the number of dimensions in my problem. بهيدا البروبلم في 3 dimensions M, L, T. يعني first I try to find 3 variables that cannot form a group. If I find, okay, I say then J is equal to 3 and the number of groups is 5 minus 3 equal to, يعني I choose 3 variables and I combine them with the 2 others to form 2 groups. هنشوف ببروبلم تاني مثلا هلا حنعمله بعدين انه sometimes J بتكون اصغر من number of dimensions بالبروبلم. يعني هون قدرت لقيت 3 independent variables. هتشوفوا انه sometimes I cannot find، ساعتها بتقولوا بتجربوا تلاقوا 2. اذا لقيتوا 2 بتقولوا J equals to 2 and you continue your problem. Okay, we will see this in the next problem to see how J can be smaller than the number of dimensions. So here, now what should I do? I should find the coefficient of M. فإذا M here is also 1 plus C، ما تغير شيء. But now for L, I have minus 1. I have minus 1 plus A plus B minus 3C. And for T, I have also minus 1 minus B. Okay. So now, for this new group, I determine the new 3 equations. The new 3 equations are first, 1 plus C equals to 0. So also for this case, I have C equal to minus 1. Now, my second equation is for L. I have minus 1 plus A plus B. Now, if I replace C by its value directly, it's plus 3 equals to 0. So here I get that for the second group, A plus B is equal to minus 2. And my third equation will be for T. So for T, it's to the power minus 1 minus B should be equal from the other side to 0. So here I get that. So B is equal to minus 1. And if I replace here, replace B, I get that. So A is equal to minus 1 also. Okay. So what will be my group now? So I can say that my group, so my group is mu times L minus 1, L to the power minus 1 times U to the power minus 1 times rho to the power minus 1. Or I can write it